What did you think of season 3 of The Wheel of Time on Prime Video? Today, Zach and I are ranking our likes, dislikes, and some predictions that we have if the show doesn't get canceled. How many of these will you agree with?
Hi there, and welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son sit down and talk about fantasy shows, I guess. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim. Thanks for being with us here today, where we do talk about more than just fantasy shows. He likes to edit the intro, but what you gonna do?
Keep it fresh.
But yes, today we're talking about The Wheel of Time Season 3, now that it's all done and out there. There will be spoilers here. If you have not watched all of this show, you don't want to watch this episode yet. And unless you just hate the show, and then you're going to get some good chuckles. So stick around. That's fine.
I guess.
Regardless of your reason for watching, we hope you enjoy this episode and show us by giving us that like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Zach, we're getting very close to 2,700 subscribers.
Woo!
Try to push on to 3,000 sooner rather than later. It's fun. So thanks again, everybody, for joining our subscriber base. So we've got these lists here today. Now, we have a lot of top 10 lists on our channel. So this has 3 different top 10 lists where I've got 5 things and Zach has 5 things. So we'll have a top 10 likes, a top 10 dislikes, and a top 10 prediction list. And there it's like how confident are we as to, where we rank them on the list.
I've got 2 disclaimers. 1, I don't like actually ranking some things sometimes. So mine are less solidly ranked than my dad's. I might whiffle waffle on where I actually place things. But 2, and this was more important, we didn't talk. So we might have the same things. I don't know.
Correct.
Maybe it's only a top 8 because some of
it might be.
We agree.
I'm really interested to see how many of our likes match up, how many of our dislikes. I think we might have more likes in common and less dislikes in common, just because of how we look at things differently. The predictions should be fun, though. No idea if we'll have the same predictions.
All right, this is full spoil. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. So thanks for paying attention at the beginning of the episode when I said it was full spoil.
You said it. I just need to reiterate in case someone else didn't pay attention.
Oh, he's just looking out after you guys.
I mean, look, I'll be honest. Sometimes I watch things that have intros that I don't care that much about and just kind of skip through the intro. It's fine. But no, really, if you care and you missed it, we're going to talk about things.
Full spoil. Absolutely. And I like my background today. It looks like Lanfear is really staring at us.
She's just staring down.
Very cool.
That being said, you are covering the Dragon Reborn, so.
Just like the show, it doesn't really care about him that much. Okay, likes. Let's do the likes. We'll go back and forth on these. Since we might have some conflicts on some of them, we'll not always be the same person going first.
Okay.
So this list, I'll go first.
Okay, you can have
next time, you get to go first. All right.
What do you like?
The lowest of my likes is most of the glass column scene in Rowidian as Rand's walking through the history of the Aiel. I thought they did that really well. That's kind of what I wanted to see. So bravo. That was entertaining. We got a lot of great history there. I think it was more understandable for book readers. But even just show people were still like, oh, wow, cool. And learning some of where things came from. And that's Lanfear, way in the past. So that was a good, I thought that was one of the better things this season. How about you?
I'm starting at the broadest for me. It's less specific, so it's the bottom of my list. Just the general epicness of the season. The bigger and better effects, the more intricate weaving and the effects of the power that we're seeing, how it interacts, all these different locations with different parts of the world and different cultures. It is opening and growing what is going on in the show, as well as just making it look cooler. So
it's like they almost, maybe spent a little more money. Yeah.
Maybe a little.
Maybe. My next one, the Matt versus Gawain and Galad scene. That fight, I mean, we wanted that. We hoped we'd get it. We didn't get it exactly the way in the books, but we got it good enough for me. I enjoyed that scene, and I thought they executed it very well. There are some people out there who think the fight scenes, the way they're choreographed in this whole show, is just garbage. I'm like, that's not what I'm seeing. And this was a good example. It was really well done.
Yeah, I think those people are crazy. I will admit that. I think they're generally pretty well done. But now on to something a little more specific for me. I'm just really glad and grateful we got some twisted redstone door frames. We got some actual content. Aelfin and Ilfin confirmed in the show. Even saw some of it. Even if I'm not over the moon about every aspect of how each part was handled,
I like that it was
love that it actually was there, that we're actually getting into this. We actually have a Foxhead medallion, all these different things.
Yeah, you're right. Totally different adaptation-wise on how they did it, but we got them. Yes, agreed. My next one, just Lord Gabriel. He's killing it. I love how they introduced him into the show. I love that twist and then the little nuances on how he's clearly using the power to change people's minds, mess with them so they think he's been there for years. And the actor is just so good. I'm really enjoying the performance. So they're nailing Lord Gabriel.
My next favorite thing I've got here, one word, Balefire.
Woo!
That we're seeing it, we've seen it used, and the way that they were able to show the reversing of the pattern, this burning that thread backwards, and without telling us that's what happened, show us that's exactly what happened with Balefire. It was a really nice touch to see confirmed. Hey, we're getting that. We're getting in the show. It's being handled well.
Nice. My next one kind of relates to something you said before. Just the scale of the use of the one power that we're seeing now. The opening episode, that massive fight in the White Tower, seeing it used again in the Two Rivers, various times throughout this season, the way the one power has been used, it's showing this is powerful stuff. You can do some incredible things with it. They're not pulling their punches anymore. They are doing some massive things that I really enjoyed. I'm glad to see it.
Next for me is a much smaller note, but it felt like it meant a lot to me, especially as a book reader. And that was Rand's approach to Toe, specifically actually carrying through with the garden even after she had died, and being like, no, he gave his word he was going to do this. He's absolutely doing this. And showing him starting to really understand the honor-bound culture of the Aiel through his lens and personal experience there. That scene was really powerful to me.
Nice. Segue from that one. Thoroughly entertained by the scene where Loyal tries to screw with Bane and Chiad, related to Toe. Nicely done. That was entertaining. My biggest, what I like the most, bar none.
Yep.
Elida.
Okay.
Show-Ray's performance as Elida. She gets this character. Every moment on the screen is amazing. This season took a big step forward in a lot of ways, but she's one of the biggest of them. She's nailing every nuance I want to see from Elida.
For me, my biggest can also be boiled down to a character and their arc this season, Perrin.
Okay.
Not even necessarily the entirety of the Two Rivers and everything that happened with the battle and the defense, because there are elements of that maybe I didn't love as much. But most of how it was handled was really good, and I love how they're showing his progression of character and the balance between the need to fight and protect and the way of the leaf. And his internal struggle is playing forward here as he's becoming both more lordly and more wolf-like in a way that is a little more accelerated than in the books, but works.
Yeah, I think we both felt in the first two seasons they were doing Perrin dirty in a lot of ways. And so it's nice to see the progression in season 3.
He really shined in this season, I think.
All right, so it's great that we let off with our likes. So the people who are out there thinking we're just here to bash the show and we hate things, no. There's a lot we're enjoying with the television series. I had somebody about a week ago on social media when I posted my opinion of the finale, which wasn't completely glowing. I had some big issues with the finale. Comes in with this post on, I love how people are, just ready to dismiss a show and want it canceled when they claim to be fans, and then immediately blocked me. So I couldn't respond or anything. Totally misreading what I'd said, misrepresenting my comments. And then I come to find out this individual was doing that all over Twitter that same day. Anyone who was dared to say something they didn't like about the finale, this person's just coming at them and then blocking them. It's like, okay, if you don't even want a dialogue, stay off Twitter. Come on.
There is something to be said where having differing opinions and having a dislike for someone's opinion on the matter, especially when it comes to a show that you like, that's valid and fair. But just trying to get your 2 cents in without being able to engage is not very productive. And so maybe it's better to just take a step back.
And this person had been a follower. I mean, we'd friended each other years ago and have interacted many times. Knows that I'm not a bad person. I'm not someone who's going to come at you. And it was just weird. I think the person was in a bad place.
Personal experience aside, let's shift to the show itself. What we did not like, things that we would change. And this doesn't mean that we don't want there to be another season. I can speak for myself and say I do. I can't speak for my dad, but I hope so.
No, I'd like to see another season. I'd like to see it get better. Season 3 is the best so far. Let's hope season 4 would be even better.
But let's talk about things that we didn't much care for. Starting with the things that would have been better if they were different or not there, and then eventually getting the things that we actively didn't like.
Yeah, and I want to, preface this a little bit. Sometimes dislikes might just be because we don't agree with that adaptation choice. Sometimes it might be we thought they did that really poorly. And I think we'll kind of clarify what we're trying to say here. So what do you want to start off with, Zach?
My initial thing, it's a relatively small no. It's more of just a disappointment in a direction that they went with storyline, even as far back as the first episode of the first season. But it got more pronounced in this season a little bit. I'm a little worried Matt's not going to have any family members left in the Two Rivers. Certainly not any that are worth anything. Like,
did you catch why they didn't show his dad? Was it just they didn't want to pay him yet, so he wasn't back in the season? They referenced him.
I'm not positive, but I think that's where they did themselves dirty a little bit, in that they initially made Matt's dad a horrible guy, which isn't book true or relevant, but
not
it does mean he's not going to be a good influence in the Battle of the Two Rivers or something. It's like, he's a problem, so we need to not address it.
I mean,
but also his mom was nice, and now we've killed her.
Yeah, we didn't see Abel Coffin. We didn't see Tam Althor. And maybe they were in the background playing it as they had gone to the White Tower to find out what happened to their kids, like what happens in the books. Maybe, but it was weird. They just didn't exist.
Yeah, and
maybe they said something about it and I missed it.
Screen mention of them at one point, really early when Perrin got back to the Two Rivers.
Right, but it wasn't even a solid reference. It was vague.
And so it's just enough of where I'm like, it's disappointing to see that Matt isn't going to have that relationship and connection to the Two Rivers really much at all. I want the Cothans to actually be around and be good, and they're not.
But his sisters rock.
And they might shine a little bit more, so we'll see.
Okay, my lowest of these is Loyal's ending here that they chose to do in episode 7. And I go ending because I know there's theories that maybe he'll be back. Loyal did not die. Loyal fell into a bottomless chasm from which there is no return. Unless theoretically in the show they decide to find a way around that and bring him back. Now, I know he's now got the actor now has a lead role in another drama that's going on. So It might even have been he wanted out. Like, I've got other offers. I've got things to do, and I'm kind of tired of wearing this whole stuff. I don't know,
Unknown.
but that's not how we should have seen Loyal's story end. And it was lame. I mean, the whole thing didn't even make sense. So, no, I was very disappointed with that.
I'll make it nice and easy for you. My number 4 here, assuming it is an end, is Loyal's end. I agree. That is one of the things that I am not super happy about from this season.
Yeah. I mean, I was thrilled we were getting so much more Loyal, finally. He was great this season, and then that. All right. My number 4 was the Battle of Moraine versus Lanfear. There in the finale.
Mm-hmm.
Not the whole battle, but how Moraine overcomes Lanfear at the end because she senses Swan's death and therefore suddenly has the power to pull a frickin' sword out of her while Lanfear just sits there watching and then defeats her. No, sorry. That was stupid. Okay, none of that makes any sense. I don't want to go on and on and on, but none of that makes any sense. So, no. I'm very disappointed with that.
I will not fight you on that. Did not make sense. It's a move to like try and focus on character you can overcome, push through that. But like, there's certain things which is like, if you understand how the power works here, that doesn't happen. That doesn't work.
And it kind of links with something is the broader thing. I'm getting a little tired of how people are in this world seemingly able to survive ridiculously you're dead wounds. Just
Yeah, we'll see whether or not she gets to be alive next season.
Okay, what's your next one?
Yeah, my next one, I'm not into my real big I'm upset things, but I'm still in some little things. I'm a little disappointed by Morgaze and her character.
Okay.
Most notably that they've leaned so much on the hard Game of Thrones-y Morgaze, which is a fair and valid thing. It's a
part
piece
of her.
of Morgaze, and it does, I think, show her iron will better than I think her book portrayal often does. But that's usually something we're hear but don't actually get shown.
Right.
But it misses some of that nurturing side. She's not a likable character.
Not
but in
yet.
the books, she is.
Yeah.
She is redeemable. She is likable. She's has
sympathetic.
Connections to Tom. She has connections to Gareth Bren. And these are important connections.
Yeah, Gareth who?
Exactly. And so I love what they're doing with Ravine, but I'm disappointed with Morgaze.
And I appreciate you saying Ravine, which is how we know the name should be. That's not how they're pronouncing it in the show. Oh, well.
I'm going to mess up and pronounce it whatever way it comes out.
I can't even remember how they say it in the show. I just know it's not Ravine. It's like,
is it Robin?
Lanfear says his name multiple times, and that's not how she says it. I'm like, all right. My third, the killing of Swan Sanche. Nope. That no. I dislike it. Now, how they did it? Okay, they did it fine on the screen. That worked for me. Even the fact of who actually kills her, it's Alviarin. She's able to do that for reasons the show hasn't revealed yet.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have happened. And behind the scenes, what's been revealed is that actress wanted to be done with the Wheel of Time. She had things to move on to, so they chose to kill off Swan Sanche rather than recasting her. Come on, you're changing core elements of the story because the actor wants to leave? If that's where we're going with this show, we're in trouble. Sad.
My number 2 thing, not getting into the thing I had the biggest issue with yet, but this is something that's been bothering me all season. They talked about it, they showed it, and it's such a small thing, theoretically, but it matters so much. And that's the idea that power-wrought weapons are so important, that power-wrought weapons kill Forsaken, that with these power, it's the only way you can kill a Forsaken. They heal from other injuries. They even make a point with Lanfear of like, oh, she tries to just heal the thing on her leg, and she can't because it's a power-wrought weapon. And I'm like, I was super down at first for them to be wrong and think, yeah, we could only kill him because he used a power weapon, and then that's not true. And they have to deal with the fact that they were wrong. But it seems like, no, that is being shown to be true. That is a way you can... And I'm like, the Forsaken aren't invincible. They're powerful, but they can be killed. The big problem, and why Balefire gets used in the books, is because they can come back for certain ways and certain things, but it has nothing to do with them, and it's not what power weapons are for. Those are good and useful. That is a huge thing. That's great against Shadowspawn and Trollocs and all these things. And I love the idea that we might get more of that. We might get Perrin's hammer because power weapons are important and exist.
Yeah.
But it just feels like such a throwaway from characters, their choices, and their power being important and mattering, because it's turned into a fetch quest for magic weapons that you can just kill people. That's not what the Wheel of Time is.
That's great. This spins me off onto something that I realize is missing in the show at this point. They've really focused on the Forsaken as the bad guys. You know, there's someone called the Dark One out there, but you'd really not know it at this point. That's not even being mentioned these days. It's like, Okay, my number 2, and not everybody's going to agree with this, but I know there's a lot of you who will. The Elaine Avienda makeout scene. The fact that they're really leaning into this so quickly, their relationship, it interferes with where the show should be going with some of these characters. It's been a fan theory that, these two should have they should have had a queer relationship. Absolutely. I'm like, it's not in the books. I don't care if you think it should have been. It's not in the books. They want to put it in here. I'm like, I didn't like it. Okay. I just didn't like it not because the relationship's wrong, but because it interferes with book stuff. And I think yes, you can adapt, but I think it messes with things too far. And it concerns me about where they're going to go long-term with the show. Okay. That's mine.
My number one biggest thing that I did not like about this season isn't for necessarily all of the reasons that it might be for other people, but it is something, largely, you've already mentioned as one of your ones that wasn't your number one. For me, the thing I liked about this season the least was Swan Sanche's death scene. And I don't care about it being because the actors wanted to get out or this, that, whatever. I'm realistic about shows and go, that's a thing. Sometimes you need to recast, sometimes you need to write things a different way. It's totally okay. I don't care, even for where the story might go theoretically, because maybe we shift the importance of Lyanna instead in some of where things would go, and she kind of takes on both of those roles moving forward a little bit. Maybe there's position and room there. You look confused, like you're forgetting what happens in the entirety of the books.
No. Okay, I think I know where you're following now. It's fine.
There is almost nothing that Swan Sanche does from this point onward that I don't think could be done with another character necessarily, especially when Gareth Bryn isn't there anymore. If he doesn't exist.
At least as far as we know.
But the idea that she so stupidly just starts going into a monologue that moves her execution up to right now instead of whenever it's going to be done.
It was a good monologue, though. It was a good monologue.
Fit with Swan Sanche's character. But 2, I don't care how well the monologue was delivered. It was a stupid monologue. If you listen to it and pay attention, it undermines the entirety of who she is as a character. What her motivations are. Why has she dedicated this much time to this and this mission? And it turns it just into
because she loves
Moiraine and Swan Sanche's relationship. And
I
have never had a problem with their relationship in the show, really. It's like it didn't exist in the books, but I don't really care.
They were pillow friends in the books.
No, they were suspected pillow friends. They were never confirmed actual pillow friends in the way that it is talked about. It is talked about in the books usually as people tease them for being, and it's left a little bit gray as to whether they actually did or did not.
I thought the prequel clarified that.
If it did, I think it was the other way around.
Okay.
That it clarified they didn't technically. But both Swan and Moraine are very motivated in their ideals as blues, as this idea of moving towards the last battle based upon a foretelling, making sacrifices, making these choices, doing this, planning extensively, and then shifting their plans through it, making mistakes here and there, and it leads to what they have to deal with.
Yeah.
But it matters, and they're smart, and they make these choices, and this turned it into a very selfish, individual, short-sighted pursuit that was just about their relationship, and they've done everything for that. Or it was Moraine's choice, and Swan just loved her. And I think it is a huge disservice to the character. So even though the monologue was powerful, it was for all of the wrong reasons.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah. So before I reveal my number one dislike, I'm going to segue to just one more thing I liked that I didn't mention in my likes, but you just chimed the memory. That scene between Rand and Moraine in the finale, where they have a genuine conversation, and actually how she's the only one who's always been there for him, and he gets it, and that is a good moment, and I loved that little conversation. That was beautiful. Okay, just throw a little bone for that. But my dislike
is
my biggest is Matt's eel fin scene. Now, I'm glad it happened. I don't think it was executed very well. I think it was rushed. I don't think there was enough there for us to understand. And the result of it was a hot mess. How does this fit where the show's supposed to go based on the books? It's a total wreck, a train wreck for what the story is supposed to be. So now they've got stuff they got to fix, which I'll get to in my predictions. But even the fact that when Matt comes out of that scene, he's hanging from the special staff that named. Thank you. And you only see it for a blink. And most people have no idea it's there.
To confirm whether or not he was.
Oh, it's totally there. I went back. I froze the scene. You can see it. It's exactly right. It's done right. But it's only there for a blink. It's like, I mean, you can see the fox head medallion more. There's some core stuff here that they did not give us enough information, time, or anything. Such an important scene to do it so badly is disappointing.
To me, it felt like it was a teasing of we're going to dive deeper into this next season, maybe, especially with the start of the episode, the tease.
They're going to have
told us the other door frame is in the White Tower.
Yep, they're going to have to.
So it tells me...
Again, we'll get to predictions.
Yeah, it tells me where things might go that could work out. So we'll see. But that's things we didn't really like.
Those are our dislikes, okay? Again, none of it was so bad that we quit watching the show. We're still fans. We're still glad we're getting some quality Wheel of Time content on television. But this leads us to predictions. And I'm not predicting the show is going to be canceled, but we still don't have anything about it being renewed. There's theories that that's because there's been turnover in who's the head of television programming at Prime Video, which is true. They have a new guy now. And so that switchover may be delayed getting a green light. But until you've got the green light, we got nothing. So we'll see. I get to lead off on this one, though. So
yes,
I've got my 5 predictions. You've got your 5. I'll start with the one at the bottom where I'm the most confident. Therefore, it's the least risk that I'm taking in making my prediction. So number 5 is we're going to get Tyr and Kalendor in season 4. I think that will be part of the storyline, a core part of the story that they have planned for season 4.
I'll kind of mirror that with my first prediction. I don't know if we're ever touching Ilian in this show physically. I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to it.
We barely do in the books, to be honest.
At this point, we barely do with the books. The big thing we do is that there's a big war little thing. Perrin went through it, kind of.
The scene with Dark Hounds there.
With the Dark Hounds, but we're past that. We're through some of these other things, and we've dealt with Samael. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So there's no reason for Ilian really to be involved with the entirety of the show at this point.
They've not even mentioned the word Ilian. The country doesn't exist yet.
They did.
Did they really?
They mentioned Tyr.
When did they mention Ilion?
Fael mentioned it because she said she swore to in as a hunter of the horn in Ilion. She mentioned it to Perrin.
Fael. I heard Aiel.
No, Fael mentioned it in the Two Rivers to Perrin. That she and Lord Luke had sworn in there.
Now, we haven't talked about Fael at all, but I did kind of like Fael. I thought she was cool. But I can only list, my 5 biggest, and she wasn't the 5 biggest. But
you've already mentioned 7, so.
Let's see. So
it's your turn.
That's your prediction. Okay.
Your 4.
My 4th one is that Matt is going to go through that twisted redstone ter'angreal in Tar Valon, meet the Aelfinn, and that's where he's going to get his memories that he needs to have for the last battle. He's going to be compelled to do it because the Aelfinn stole all these memories from him, and he doesn't remember things, so he's going to go in to try to fix things.
I think that's a fair, fine prediction. I'm down for it. I'm going to continue and round out with a Matt prediction. I think by the end of next season, rather than killing Couladin, I think they're going to establish that the Yashandare is power rot, and Matt will kill a Forsaken.
Could happen. We already know he's a hero of the Horn, so it could happen. And to be clear, this is not predictions specifically for season 4. This is predictions for the future of the series. We happen to have said things so far that are about season 4, but there'll be more. All right, my 3rd, as I go on up, Perrin is the one who's going to bring the White Cloaks around to the good side. Galad will have no White Cloak arc at all. There's nothing to do with it. I think Galad's going to be a very small character in the show.
That they're there for flavor and some fun scenes here and there, but relatively small.
Yep.
Okay.
Just like we'll not have any Bearlane. Wow, that's kind of another prediction. But I don't think there's no room in the show for the Galad Bearlane thing. There's just not.
Unless they make room, but we'll see. They'd have to kill people off. I think my next prediction here, I'll keep with theme. You mentioned Perrin's going to bring the White Cloaks around. To a certain extent, I think we're going to see a flip on what we see and experience in the books between Perrin and Fael, in terms of one being captured, the other leading a whole chase to try and save and rescue, and then it being a whole kerfuffle. I think instead of the whole Shido thing, we're getting Perrin in with the White Cloaks and accelerating their timeline and story to make it a possible 5-season thing instead of 15 books. I think we're seeing Perrin be the damsel in distress instead.
So will we get a scene with Perrin chained up naked and a female White Cloak taking an interest in caring for him?
Maybe. He's got pretty eyes.
Okay, number 2 on mine. I think Moraine is totally set up here now to take on the Cadsuane role. I do not think we're going to get Cadsuane. We're going to keep Moraine active in the show, and she will become the one who's working with and mentoring and supporting Rand all the way to the end.
See, I hadn't thought of that and was just like not loving that she was around. If they do that, I guess that's okay. Like I'm not as upset about that. I guess. She's
still by far the biggest actress in the show. And it's like they could just keep riding that.
My next prediction, and this is potentially contentious.
That's what we do here.
I think we're going to get significantly less tower split. I'm not sure we're getting a little tower at all.
No, I'm going to disagree with that one, but go ahead.
We are getting Rebel Aes Sedai. We are getting separate factions. We are getting this various different things. But I don't think we're going to get Saladar.
See, I think they established it already with Varen and some of the most supportive of Swan having been sent away from the tower and then realizing what was done. I don't think they go back. I think that's the core of who's going to become the tower in exile.
But I think we get pieces and we get tower in exile, but I don't think we get big camp. I don't think we get leads to what is tantamount to a civil war between the Aes Sedai.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
I think it will be mostly in the political and try to speed into a Knife of Dreams arc sooner rather than later.
Could be. All right, my number 1 prediction, my biggest. We get Darth Rand already here in season 4. I think they set it up right in the finale.
Mhm.
The darkness, the look. Egwene, Rand, no! He's already there. We're going to skip over a whole bunch of his development, and he's just going to be big, dark, focused on I'm doing what I have to do, Rand now, which would be sad, but it's a way to condense the show.
I mean, at this point, what we've roughly said with a number of these is they're trying to find ways to meaningfully bridge the slog and eliminate it as much as they can from it.
Yep. But there's been nothing that's happened to this point to turn Rand into Darth Rand. There just hasn't. We need a box. Okay, we at least need a box, and we're not going to get it. They're skipping over all that.
However, I do think, and I think it probably will be next season, we'll get a significant Caemlyn arc. I think we'll get a lot more Gabriel time. I think we'll be looking at maybe ending with Rand reclaiming Caemlyn.
That's a fair guess. I think they've set that up to happen. Yeah. Whether it's at the end or somewhere else, like episode 7.
Penultimate.
Because I think the tier thing has to maybe be the end.
Specifically to me,
Kalendor.
I think we will see Rand going after Ravine. Ravine killing important characters to us at a big-ass balefire.
I like it.
I think we will see that.
I want to see that. Good talk, Zach. These are great lists. I think we did a nice job. We really didn't repeat much at all. We had just
some here and there.
1, maybe 2.
I think not 2 in the dislikes
list. They were like in different spots. You know, it's good. It's good. So that's what we think of our lists. How about you, viewers? What do you think? Do you like our likes? Do you disagree with our dislikes? Do you have different predictions you want to drop in the comment box? We invite you to do so.
Do you have like insider information to let us know there is a 4th season coming? Because if you do, please drop that too.
And thank you for mentioning insider information. I know there are after the episode. I don't watch any of those. I have not paid attention to the spoilers, the things Rafe Judkins puts on Instagram. So if some of these things have been shared out there somewhere and you like, oh yeah, they already said this. Well, I don't know it. I don't think you pay attention to any of those either.
The only thing I remember seeing is Rafe talking about how he felt pretty good that they were going to get a 4th season, but it hadn't officially been greenlit yet.
Well, and he has to say that. He's got to give hope to everybody. So, yeah, you know, feel free if you've heard something out there that affirms or denies something we've said here, and you have it official, it's been out there on the internet from an official source, please tell us, and we'll love to have that information. Oh, all right. That's all I have on Wheel of Time content. Before we go, I got these great books around us here. Anything you're reading now that I should be adding in?
Yeah, that's a big one. I started this finally.
Oh, finally, yes.
I did get to start The Name of the Wind. I'm not very far in yet. I've only just started it between reading other things and being very busy, but I have officially jumped in. Let's do it.
Nice. All right. I'll make sure that shows up on the screen. Happy to have it. I'm still reading this book by Tad Williams, To Green Angel Tower. It's book 3 of the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, you got the first book, and then the second book, and then the third book. It's a massive book. It's longer than Wind and Truth.
That's a big book.
And it's so good. It's what you want out of a long fantasy book. You want it to be, yes, please, just keep giving me stuff. Like I didn't feel with Wind and Truth, but I totally am loving this book. It was so long that when it was originally published, they realized it's too long. And then they republished it in part 1 and part 2. Literally, the bindings couldn't hold. It was too big. I'm doing it on Audible. It's 62 hours.
That's pretty big.
62 hours. Yeah, but it's so good. All right. Good enough then. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember, like and subscribe if you haven't done it. And thank you, patrons, all our Patreon supporters. We appreciate you helping us keeping this coming out. Any final words of wisdom, my son?
I'm not particularly wise.
He's wise enough to acknowledge that. That's not so bad. We'll talk to you next time.